Henry, I saw Chioma today.
Chioma?
Yes, your sales girl.
Where did you see her?
At the salon. She was pregnant.
Pregnant?
Yes, Henry, pregnant.
Are you sure it was Chioma?
Of course I'm sure. I stood right in front of her. She came out of an expensive black SUV. She was wearing a designer dress, carrying an expensive handbag.
What did she do?
She smiled.
And then?
She placed her hand on her stomach and rubbed it. Henry, is that your child? Henry, I asked you a question. Is that your child?
I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
The baby is mine.
No!
Abigail.
No! You're lying!
I'm not.
The Chioma I fired. The same Chioma I want to stay away from you? So while I was fighting that girl, you were the one who was chasing her. Are you in love with her?
Yes. I want to marry her.
You want to marry your sales girl?
Yes.
You want to throw away our marriage for her?
Do you even remember how this started? It started with a food flask.
A food flask?
Yes.
Knock knock, sir.
Come in.
Brought you lunch, sir.
Ah, thank you. What is that?
I brought something for you, sir.
For me?
Yes, sir.
Why?
I just wanted to appreciate you.
You cooked this?
Yes, sir.
Chioma,
Yes, sir.
this is my favorite meal. How did you know?
I guessed.
You guessed correctly?
Yes, sir.
The morning traffic in Lagos was already building up when Chioma arrived at the car showroom. The showroom stood along a busy road, surrounded by banks, restaurants, offices, and several other businesses. Its large glass windows displayed expensive cars that shone brightly whenever the morning sunlight touched them. Beside the main building was another section where motorcycles were neatly arranged in different colours and models. Chioma worked there as a salesgirl. She had been working at the showroom for almost 8 months, and although her salary was not much, she was grateful for the job. Her boss, Henry, was one of the few wealthy men she had met who did not behave as though money had made him better than everyone else. Henry owned the showroom. He sold cars, motorcycles, and spare parts, and his business had grown so much that people from different parts of the city came to buy from him. Yet, despite his wealth, Henry was humble. He greeted his workers. He sometimes ate with them. Whenever a customer gave him a tip because of excellent service, he often shared some of it with the workers who had assisted with the sale. That was how Chioma had become fond of him. At first, it was simply admiration. Then it slowly became something else, something she was afraid to admit, even to herself. That particular morning, Chioma stood in front of the staff restroom, holding a small food flask. She stared at it for several seconds. Her heart was beating unusually fast. She adjusted her blouse, checked her hair in the small mirror, and took a deep breath. "What am I even doing?" Chioma whispered to herself. She had prepared the food herself that morning. She had woken up earlier than usual, cooked one of her favourite local dishes, packed it neatly into the flask, and brought it to work. But now that she was actually standing there, she suddenly felt embarrassed. What if Henry misunderstood her? What if he laughed? What if he told her that bringing food to her boss was inappropriate? She almost turned around. Then she remembered all the times Henry had helped her. When her younger sister needed school fees, Henry had given her an advance without embarrassing her. When she had once arrived late because of a family emergency, he had listened to her explanation instead of shouting. He had even given her money for transportation on one occasion when she had no money left. Chioma swallowed hard. "I am only appreciating him," she told herself. She walked toward Henry's office. When she reached the door, she stood there for a few seconds. Then she knocked. Knock, knock. Inside the office, Henry lifted his head from the documents on his desk. "Come in," Henry said. Chioma opened the door slowly. Henry looked up at her. He noticed the food flask in her hand. "What do you want?" Henry asked. Chioma stood nervously. I brought something for you, sir, Chioma said. Henry looked at the flask and then back at her. For me? Henry asked. Yes, sir, Chioma said. Henry leaned back in his chair. He looked genuinely surprised. Why would you bring me food? Chioma smiled shyly. It is just to appreciate you for everything you have been doing for me at work. The tips, the encouragement, and the way you treat us. I just wanted to say thank you, Chioma said. For a moment, Henry said nothing. Then he laughed briefly. It was such an unexpected gesture that he did not know what else to do. You prepared food for me because of that? Henry asked. Chioma nodded. Yes, sir, Chioma said. Henry shook his head, smiling. You are surprising me this morning, Henry said. Chioma lowered her eyes. I hope I have not offended you. No. You have not offended me, Henry said. He pointed toward the flask. So, what did you bring? Henry asked. It is a local dish, Chioma said. Henry became interested. Let me see it, Henry said. Chioma opened the flask. The moment Henry saw the food, his eyes widened slightly. You made this? Henry asked. Yes, sir, Chioma said. Henry looked at it again. This is one of my favourite dishes, Henry said. Chioma's heart skipped. She smiled. Really? Chioma asked. Yes? Who told you? Henry asked. Chioma shook her head. Nobody told me. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications bell to get notified on our next interesting story. Are you watching from Chicago, Atlanta, New York, Canada, UK, Australia? Please smash that subscribe button now. Thank you. Henry raised an eyebrow. Then how did you know? Henry asked. I just guessed, Chioma said. Henry laughed. You guessed correctly? Henry asked. Chioma laughed softly. I suppose I was lucky, Chioma said. Henry took a spoon. He scooped a little food into his mouth. He chewed slowly. Chioma stood before him nervously, watching his face. Henry swallowed. He looked at her. This is delicious. Chioma's face immediately brightened. Thank you, sir, Chioma said. You can cook, Henry said. Chioma smiled. My mother taught me. Henry took another spoonful. Before long, the conversation moved from food to family, work, and life. Chioma told him funny things that had happened in her neighbourhood. Henry laughed. Henry also told her stories about how he started his business with only one motorcycle. Chioma listened with admiration. You started with one motorcycle? Chioma asked. Yes, one motorcycle, Henry said. And now you own all these cars? Chioma asked. Henry smiled. It was not easy. There were days I wanted to give up, Henry said. Chioma stared at him. I never knew, Chioma said. There are many things people do not know about me, Henry replied. That conversation lasted longer than either of them expected. By the time Chioma looked at the wall clock, almost 2 hours had passed. She quickly stood up. I should go back to work, Chioma said. Henry nodded. Thank you for the food, Chioma, Henry said. You are welcome, sir, Chioma said. She picked up the empty flask and left, but something had changed. Not in Henry, in Chioma. That evening, while she sat in a crowded bus going home, she kept remembering Henry's smile. She smiled to herself. Then she became serious. She knew she had to be careful. Henry was her boss. More importantly, Henry was married. She knew that. Everyone at the showroom knew it. But the human heart does not always listen when the mind gives instructions. Days passed. Chioma did not bring food again immediately. She was afraid she might make things awkward. But one Friday afternoon, Henry called her into his office. Chioma, Henry said. Yes, sir? Chioma asked. What happened to that food you brought the other day? Henry asked. Chioma laughed. You finished it, sir, Chioma said. I know I finished it. I am asking when you will bring another one, Henry said. Chioma laughed. So you liked it that much? Chioma asked. I did. From that day, Chioma occasionally brought food to the office. Sometimes it was rice. Sometimes it was a local dish. Sometimes it was soup and swallow. Henry would eat while they talked. He became curious about her cooking. Who taught you this? Henry asked one afternoon. My mother, Chioma replied. You must have spent a lot of time in the kitchen with her, Henry said. Yes? She always said a woman should know how to take care of herself, Chioma said. Henry smiled. She taught you well, Henry said. The two of them laughed. Sometimes their conversations lasted for hours, but Chioma never crossed any obvious boundary, at least not yet. Then one afternoon, everything changed. A black SUV pulled into the showroom. Nobody expected it. The security guard hurried toward the vehicle. The door opened. Madame Abigail stepped out. She was Henry's wife. She had not called him. She had not told him she was coming. She simply decided to visit her husband's business. She walked into the showroom with confidence. Good afternoon, madam. One of the workers greeted. Good afternoon, Abigail replied. She walked straight toward Henry's office. She opened the door without knocking and stopped. Her eyes immediately fell on Chioma. Chioma was sitting opposite Henry. Henry was eating. Both of them were laughing. The smile disappeared from Abigail's face. Chioma's heart nearly stopped. She stood up immediately. Madame Abigail looked at her from head to toe. Do you have a duty post? Abigail asked. Chioma's lips parted. She nodded quickly. Yes, ma, Chioma said. Then why are you sitting in my husband's office? Abigail asked. Chioma became speechless. Henry immediately put down his spoon. Abigail, please, Henry started, but she raised her hand. Let her answer me, Abigail said. Chioma looked at Henry. Then she looked at Abigail. I am sorry, ma, Chioma said. Get out, Abigail said. Chioma did not wait for another word. She hurried out of the office. The moment the door closed, Abigail turned toward her husband. What are you eating? Abigail asked. Henry sighed. It is food, Henry said. Who gave you the food? Abigail asked. Chioma, Henry said. Abigail's face changed. Chioma? Abigail repeated. Yes, Henry said. And why is Chioma bringing food to you? Abigail asked. It is not what you think, Henry said. Abigail laughed bitterly. Then what is it? Abigail asked. Henry stood up. She brought it as a way of appreciating me. That is all. Abigail stared at him. You never agree to bring food to the office. You always tell me that you prefer eating at home. How did another woman suddenly start bringing you food and you are sitting here eating and laughing with her? Abigail asked. Abigail, calm down, Henry pleaded. But she was already angry. She grabbed the food flask from the table. Abigail, please do not, Henry warned. She flung it. The flask hit the wall. The food splashed across the clean office wall and scattered onto the floor. Henry stared in shock. Abigail! Henry exclaimed. She looked at him angrily. I will not tolerate this, Abigail said. It was nothing, Henry said. You call this nothing? Abigail asked. Henry sighed. I am sorry, Henry said. Abigail marched out. She searched through the showroom until she found Chioma. Chioma was standing beside the reception desk, trying to hold back tears. Abigail walked toward her. "Carry your bag," Abigail ordered. Chioma looked confused. "My bag, Ma?" Chioma asked. "Yes." "Carry it," Abigail said. Chioma picked up the handbag. Abigail walked toward the entrance. Then she stopped and turned. "From today, you are no longer coming to this office," Abigail said. Chioma's eyes widened. "Ma?" Chioma asked. "You heard me," Abigail said. "But I work here," Chioma pleaded. "You worked here," Abigail corrected. Chioma's eyes filled with tears. "I am sorry if I offended you," Chioma said. Abigail stepped closer. "Listen carefully. Stay away from my husband. If I ever see you around him again, you will regret it," Abigail warned. Chioma stood frozen. She had never imagined that a simple act of appreciation would destroy her job. Abigail walked away. Chioma remained standing there, tears rolling down her cheeks. That night, Henry and Abigail sat at the dining table. The atmosphere was cold. Neither of them spoke. Abigail ate quietly. Henry sat before his plate without touching it. After several minutes, Abigail looked up. "Why are you not eating?" Abigail asked. Henry sighed. "I am not hungry," Henry said. Abigail dropped her spoon. "Of course you are not hungry," Abigail said. Henry looked at her. "What do you mean?" Henry asked. "Your sales girl has already fed you," Abigail said. Henry closed his eyes briefly. "Abigail, please," Henry pleaded. "I warned you," Abigail said. Henry looked at her. "I did nothing wrong," Henry said. Abigail shook her head. "I do not care what you call it. I do not want to see you with that girl again," Abigail said. Henry remained silent. But inside his mind, something was troubling him. He kept thinking about Chioma, not because of the food, not because of the laughter, but because he suddenly realized that his wife had fired an innocent employee without allowing him to explain, and somewhere across the city, Chioma was sitting on the edge of her bed, crying over the job she desperately needed. She had no idea what she would do the following morning. And Henry had no idea that the decision he was about to make would change both their lives forever. The following morning, Henry arrived at the showroom earlier than usual. His black SUV pulled into the compound, and immediately the sales representatives began greeting him. "Good morning, sir," one of the sales representatives greeted. "Good morning, sir," another greeted. Henry nodded at them as he walked toward his office, but something felt different. He looked around the showroom again. There was no Chioma. He stopped. "Where is Chioma?" Henry asked. The workers looked at one another. One of the female sales representatives stepped forward. "Sir, Madam Abigail told her not to come back," the sales representative explained. Henry's face fell. He sighed deeply and rubbed his forehead. "She has not come since yesterday?" Henry asked. "No, sir," the sales representative replied. Henry stood silently for a moment. He remembered Chioma's frightened face when Abigail ordered her out of the showroom. He knew his wife had gone too far. "Does anyone know where Chioma lives?" Henry asked. One of the salesgirls raised her hand. "I know her house, sir," the sales representative said. Henry looked at her. "Come with me," Henry said. The young woman immediately followed him. They entered Henry's SUV and drove away. After driving for some time, they arrived at a modest neighborhood. It was completely different from the luxurious part of the city where Henry lived. The houses were close to one another, and children played along the street. Henry parked outside a small compound. The sales representative pointed toward the house. "That is where Chioma lives, sir," she said. Henry got out of the car. As they walked closer, they heard the sound of a cooking spoon hitting a pot. Chioma was outside in a small kitchen behind the house. She was cooking. She had no idea that anyone was watching her. Then she turned. The moment she saw Henry, the spoon almost fell from her hand. "Sir?" Chioma asked in shock. Henry smiled faintly. "Good morning, Chioma," Henry said. Chioma immediately wiped her hands on her shirt. "Good morning, sir," Chioma greeted nervously. She looked behind him and saw the sales representative. Her heart began beating faster. "What are you doing here?" Chioma asked. "I came to see you," Henry said. Chioma looked down. "Sir, I thought Madam said I should not return," Chioma said. "She did," Henry replied. Chioma looked at him. "But I am the owner of the business, and I am telling you to come back," Henry said. Before Chioma could respond, an older woman walked out of the house. She was Chioma's mother. She looked at Henry and became curious. "Chioma, who is this?" her mother asked. Chioma quickly introduced him. "Mummy, this is my boss, Mr. Henry," Chioma said. Her mother immediately smiled. "Ah, welcome, sir," Chioma's mother greeted. "Thank you, Ma," Henry replied respectfully. The woman looked at the expensive vehicle parked outside and then looked back at Henry. "You are welcome to our home," she said. "Thank you, Ma," Henry replied. Chioma quickly brought out 2 wooden benches. "Please sit down, sir," Chioma said. Henry and the sales representative sat down. Chioma's mother also sat nearby. Henry looked around the compound. It was simple, but clean. Then his eyes went to the pot. Chioma had been cooking. "What are you preparing?" Henry asked. Chioma smiled. "It is breakfast, sir," Chioma replied. Henry smiled. "I hope it is the same kind of food you brought to the office," Henry said. Chioma lowered her eyes. "Yes, sir," she replied. Her mother looked at both of them curiously. She noticed the way her daughter became unusually shy whenever Henry spoke. After a few minutes, Chioma finished cooking. She served the food into plates and brought it outside. Henry took the first spoon. He chewed slowly. Then he shook his head. "You are such a good cook," Henry said. Chioma smiled shyly. "Thank you, sir," Chioma replied. Henry continued eating. After the meal, he became serious. "Chioma, I came here because I owe you an apology," Henry said. Chioma looked at him. "You did nothing wrong. The way my wife spoke to you was unfair," Henry said. Chioma remained silent. "I know you need this job, and I want you to return to work tomorrow," Henry said. Chioma looked down. Part of her wanted to jump for joy. She needed the job badly, but another part of her was afraid. She had already started developing feelings for Henry, and being around him every day was making those feelings stronger. "Are you sure, sir?" Chioma asked. "Yes," Henry replied. Chioma nodded. "Thank you, sir," Chioma said. Henry stood up. "I will see you tomorrow," Henry said. "Okay, sir," Chioma replied. After Henry left, Chioma's mother watched her daughter carefully. "Chioma," her mother called. "Yes, Mummy." "Be careful with that man," her mother warned. Chioma looked surprised. "Why, Mummy?" Chioma asked. "Because he is your employer. And I know the look in your eyes whenever he speaks to you," her mother said. Chioma immediately became quiet. Her mother sighed. "Do not allow gratitude to become something that will destroy your peace," she warned. Chioma nodded, but deep inside her heart, she knew it was already too late. She had fallen in love with Henry. The following day, Chioma returned to work. Henry welcomed her warmly. "I am glad you came back," Henry said. "Thank you, sir," Chioma replied. That day, something changed between them. They became closer. Henry began taking Chioma out whenever they had business outside the showroom. One afternoon, he took her to a very expensive restaurant. The moment they entered, Chioma's eyes widened. She looked around at the beautiful decorations, expensive furniture, and neatly dressed waiters. "Sir, this place is beautiful," Chioma said. Henry smiled. "You have never been here before?" Henry asked. Chioma shook her head. "No, sir," she replied. They sat down and ordered food. While they were waiting, Henry noticed Chioma's old phone. He stared at it for a few seconds before laughing. "What?" Chioma asked. "Since when have you been using this phone?" Henry asked. Chioma covered her face and laughed. "It is still working," Chioma replied. Henry shook his head. "That phone looks like it has survived 3 generations," Henry joked. Chioma laughed harder. "It is not that bad," she said. After the meal, Henry took her to a phone shop. Chioma did not understand what was happening until he asked the salesperson to bring out a new phone. Henry paid for it. Chioma stared at the phone in disbelief. "Sir, this is too expensive," Chioma said. "It is a gift," Henry replied. "I cannot accept this," Chioma said. "You can," Henry replied. Chioma held the phone carefully. "Thank you so much," she said. Henry smiled. "You are welcome." That was how their relationship slowly changed. What began as a boss and employee relationship gradually became something much deeper. Henry started coming home late. Whenever Abigail asked him where he had been, he always gave the same answer. Work. Sometimes he would spend hours on his phone. Sometimes he would smile at messages. Abigail noticed everything, but she did not know the truth. Months passed. Then one afternoon, Abigail went to a beauty salon to make her hair. She had just finished and was walking toward her car when an expensive black vehicle pulled up. The passenger door opened. A woman stepped out. Abigail looked. It was Chioma, but she was no longer the simple salesgirl Abigail remembered. Chioma was pregnant. She wore an expensive flowing dress, a designer handbag hung from her arm, and expensive shoes covered her feet. Her hair was beautifully styled. She looked confident. Abigail stood frozen. Chioma noticed her. She stopped. For a few seconds, the two women stared at each other. Then Chioma smiled. She slowly rubbed her pregnant stomach. She rolled her eyes slightly and laughed before walking into the salon. Abigail remained where she stood. Her mouth was slightly open. "Chioma?" she whispered. She looked at the expensive vehicle, then at Chioma, then back at the vehicle. Her heart began pounding. She got into her car and drove home immediately. All the way home, one question kept disturbing her. Where had Chioma suddenly gotten all this wealth? And why was she rubbing her stomach and looking at her? That night, Abigail could not eat. Henry sat at the dining table. She stared at him for several minutes. "Henry," Abigail called. "Yes?" Henry asked. "I saw Chioma today," Abigail said. Henry's hand stopped. He slowly looked up. "Where?" Henry asked. "At the salon," Abigail replied. Henry became silent. "She was pregnant," Abigail continued. Henry looked down. "And she was wearing expensive clothes. She came out of an expensive car," Abigail said. Henry sighed. Abigail stared at him. "Is she now married?" Abigail asked. Henry remained silent. "Henry," Abigail called. Henry slowly raised his head. "I am sorry," he said. Abigail's heart sank. "What are you sorry for?" she asked. Henry swallowed. "I wanted to tell you," he said. "Tell me what?" Abigail asked. Henry looked away. "I want to marry Chioma," he said. Abigail froze. The room suddenly became completely silent. "What did you say?" Abigail asked. "I want to marry Chioma," Henry repeated. Abigail's eyes filled with tears. "And the pregnancy?" she asked. Henry lowered his head. "The child is mine," Henry admitted. Abigail stared at him as though she no longer recognized the man sitting before her. "So all these months, when you told me you were working late," Abigail whispered. Henry said nothing. "You were with her?" Abigail asked. Henry remained silent. Abigail laughed bitterly through her tears. "I fired an innocent girl because I thought she was chasing my husband," Abigail said. Henry closed his eyes. "And while I was warning her to stay away from you, you were the one pursuing her," Abigail said. "Abigail, I am sorry," Henry pleaded. She stood up. "No, do not apologize to me," Abigail said. Henry looked at her. "You made your choice," Abigail continued. "Now live with it." The following morning, Henry left for work. He had no idea that Abigail had already made her decision. She walked into their bedroom. She looked around the room where they had spent years together. She opened the wardrobe. She packed her clothes. She packed her shoes. She collected her documents and personal belongings. She looked at her wedding photograph one last time. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Then she placed it back. She did not destroy it. She simply walked away. When Henry returned home that evening, the house was unusually quiet. "Abigail?" he called. No answer. He walked into the bedroom. The wardrobe was almost empty. He immediately understood. Abigail had left. She had taken everything that belonged to her. There was only a short note on the bed. Henry picked it up. It contained just a few words. "I hope the happiness you found was worth the home you destroyed." Henry sat on the edge of the bed. For the first time, the reality of what he had done finally struck him. But it was already too late. A few weeks later, Henry married Chioma. The wedding was beautiful. Chioma wore a magnificent white gown. Henry looked proud beside her. After the wedding, he brought her into the house he had once shared with Abigail. Chioma stepped inside slowly. She looked around the luxurious living room. "This is beautiful," Chioma said. Henry smiled. "Welcome home," Henry said. Chioma smiled. But somewhere in that house, there were memories that money could never erase. Years later, Chioma would sometimes remember the day she first walked into Henry's office with a simple food flask. She had only wanted to appreciate her boss. She never imagined that one meal would change her entire life. But there was a lesson hidden inside her story. A simple act of kindness can become complicated when boundaries are ignored. Gratitude should never be confused with romantic affection. A married person should never entertain a relationship that can destroy the trust in their home. And before taking what belongs to another person, one should always remember that every action has a consequence. Henry had wealth. He had cars. He had motorcycles. He had a beautiful business. But he lost his first marriage because he failed to control his feelings. Abigail lost her husband because she could not trust him. And Chioma, who once entered the showroom as a humble salesgirl carrying a food flask, eventually became the wife of the wealthy man she had secretly fallen in love with. But the question remained, was the happiness she gained worth the pain another woman suffered? Drop your thoughts on the comments section. Thank you for watching.